Yeah, just caught this one on. Oh, there it is. Got it.
This time of year is good for cranking, and the answer is yes. Definitely, it could very well be one on the crankbait tomorrow, especially with the wind and the rain in these clear lakes. You know, whenever it's cloudy, they're going to be chomping a crankbait. Yeah, and I mean, you know, you can run into some of the backs of the creeks and find some stained water. That's probably what I would look for if I was cranking. You know, maybe look for some mud lines too, if the wind is, you know, blowing pretty good. But you know, with what I alluded to earlier, with the alewives being deep and, you know, not much shad up shallow, I would probably be keying in on some kind of a crawfish pattern, because there's still a ton of crawfish in this lake. And in my opinion, that's what those fish are eating that are up shallow. They're gorging on crawfish.
Rage tail, that's my favorite.
Who else? Right there. So for cranking, he's asking what other color other than crawfish patterns would we crank with. I'll let Chad take the mic. He actually just fished a tournament on Table Rock, which is a very similar fishery to what we have here as far as clarity goes.
Yeah, I mean, if they're up shallow, I mean, obviously crawfish, but you can't go wrong with shad either. So even if they're chasing crawfish, my thing is if you're up shallow, covering water, and you got a little bit of stain, or you got some conditions that are favorable with wind and rain, if you get in front of them, they're going to eat or they're not going to eat. So I'm not as big of a believer on color. I mean, if you're out there and, you know, you're foul hooking fish, or they're you know, getting the last treble hook, then you maybe need to adjust the color a little bit. But if you're out there, most of the times when those fish are slapping at that bait, you know, they're going to have it, and you're going to catch them. I would prefer to cover more of the right water depth, or, you know, that whether it's points or pockets. I want to fish the right place with the bait that's hitting the right depth versus, you know, we got 500 different colors of bait. So I try to keep it simple when you're out there, and maybe have a crawfish color and a shad color, and just go to work with those, and, you know, keep it simple, put it at the right depths. Go ahead.
All right, on the next couple of questions, I'm gonna make you guys be a little bit more brave and
here?
stand up and yell out your question to us. So the question is, when I'm fishing on Norse Lake, do I like to target largemouth or smallmouth? And the question is yes. I want to target both of them. Usually it's a mixed bag for me. This past weekend I weighed in four largemouth in one spot, but I fished for smallmouth literally probably 7 out of the 8 hours. So I actually caught 2 largemouth fishing for smallmouth, and then I finally bailed on the smallmouth because they weren't biting for whatever reason. We had cloudy conditions, it was windy, it was a perfect smallmouth day, but I could not make a bite. And so then I bailed on the smallmouth in the last hour of the day. I went and caught that one spot and 2 big largemouth, and that was my day. But my brother won with, I think he had 3 smallmouth and 2 largemouth. So usually to win here, it's a mixed bag game, definitely. Smallmouth and largemouth. Usually in my bags, when I've done well here, spotted bass are not really much of a factor. The spotted bass used to be a little bit bigger. I actually caught like a 5.5 pounder here a couple years ago, but I haven't seen big spotted bass in this lake in years. So I don't know what happened to them. The purple right there in the back. All right, guys, quieten down just a little bit so we can hear these questions. It's too loud. So the question from the hater in the purple over there is, will the Suzuki run with the Mercury? And the answer is yes. I love my Suzuki. It's a great motor. Ricky Bodsford has a Suzuki. Chad Pipkins has a Suzuki. You may, depending on your hole, you may lose 1 or 2 miles an hour. That being said, about 2 years ago, I had a Suzuki on a Triton 21 TRX, and I passed at least half of the other guys that were running a 21 TRX. Casey Ashley's boat was slower than mine. I don't know who else, but I remember passing him, and I was like, man, this Suzuki runs with the Mercuries. But, you know, every year is different. Some years you get kind of a hot motor. Some years you get, you know, one that's not so fast. But it's right there around it. I would say if you just average out the years that I've ran one, it might be just 1 or 2 miles an hour slower. But I'll sacrifice that any day of the week for the reliability, the dependability. It's an awesome motor. I'm gonna let Chad speak on it. He's been running now for 3 years. 3 years. And he loves his too, so I'm going to let him speak on it real quick.
Yeah, the other question you got to ask is after 1,000 hours or 1,500 hours, I'm not going to knock any other engine, but ask a Suzuki guy after 1,500 hours how his engine is, and his engine's still intact, running. They are like rock solid. There's guys offshore that put 4,000 to 6,000 hours onto things. Another guy with over 10,000, which is just insane, but you can't go wrong with that kind of stuff. And for me, I run a Bass Cat, and I run 74 miles an hour, and my wife and my mom don't want me running any faster than that anyway, so it doesn't matter how fast the engine goes. So it's good enough, and it's about as good as they get out there.
So the top speed I had on my links this year, I actually posted like a screenshot of it, was 76, so it's fast enough for me.
How good is the tight line fishing?
Are you talking about tight lining here or just tight lining in general? Well, I've never fished here, so.
Yeah, so the tight liner really, turns on once the water temp gets below 50. That's kind of when I really pull it out. I fished with Nathan Light with 3B Outdoors several times, and that guy is phenomenal with the tight line. Like, he makes it look easy. And when I'm fishing with him, I catch him. But I've only had a few trips where I'm by myself and I, had a great day with the tight line. But he's just got that knack for just, I don't even know. It's really weird. But if you want to learn anything about tight lining, go on his YouTube channel and watch it. He's got 3 or 4 episodes of tight lining. But definitely on Norris and Cherokee and any of these Clearwater lakes in the winter time, you can really jack them on a tight line. You could probably catch a few tomorrow on it, but I still think the water temp's too warm. Let's see, in the back there.
The question is, what is Brandon's favorite Norris bait right now? We'll get back to that one. We got another one? We'll get back to that one actually right now.
My favorite bait on Norris. Who asked the question? What time of year? Any time of year? Like right now? So that's kind of a loaded question, because if you look at the front deck of my boat, anytime I'm on this lake, I have about 20 rods out, and I literally have my 3DB pencil all the way to a drop shot or Demiki, and so it's kind of hard to say, but I would say, just generally speaking, anytime the water temp is under 60, my favorite bait is probably a finesse jig, like a 3/8 ounce, just like a green pumpkin, brown orange finesse jig, Yamamoto twin tail grub, green pumpkin, the 4-inch twin tail grub, and I try to make it as compact as possible. I really think a lot of these fish, anytime the water temp's below 60, they're obviously going to be feeding on alewives, but I think a lot of them stay shallow and feed on crawfish. So, I like fishing shallower. I'll fish that jig out as far as 25, 30 feet, but at least I'm dragging something. When I have to drop vertical form, like with the Damiki technique, it's painful. I hate it. I don't want to do it. So that would probably be my favorite go-to bait this time of year is a little finesse jig with the Yamamoto twin tail.
Like a regular rubber skirt jig.
Yes, sir. Oh, wait. We'll get her first.
Whenever it comes to you. Ask me about that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do is throw a spinnerbait. The question was slow rolling a spinnerbait versus, fishing with bass. I don't think right now, even though it's, well, we're almost, tomorrow will be December, won't we? The water's not horribly cold. Last week it was 54 degrees, so it's not like it's at the point where you're really going to slow down. I think you're still going to find a fair number of fish that are going to be shallow, aggressive, still eating. A couple weeks from now, I'm going to look to really slow down. But I kind of let the conditions dictate how I'm going to fish my bait. I will always start off with a spinnerbait, maybe run down the bank and fish it with like a medium speed retrieve and see how the fish are biting. They're not always going to bite it the same way every single time. And one other thing too, especially with a spinnerbait or any other bait, try different retrieves with it. Fish get really used to seeing your baits going the same speed, the same direction, the same way every single time. So especially if I'm catching some fish, and there's going to be a lot of boats on the water tomorrow, maximize your time on spots. If you're getting some bites, go back through the cover again or the area again and try different retrieves. And a lot of times you'll be able to pick up some more fish, but always let the conditions dictate. If you can't catch them fast, slow down until you catch them and then duplicate it wherever you go.
The question was, what is the best color of Kitex or swim baits? Again, that's going to really depend where you're at, but generally the Kitex imitating a shad. A lot of times you guys see, I think it's Pearl Blue is a color that I like to use a lot, and then the other one is Crystal Shad. I'm not sponsored by Kitech or anything, but they obviously catch some fish now and again, so match the hatch. We'll go over here. The question is, what depth is the thermocline right now here? And I don't know if he's saying it's typically 30, and that varies from lake to lake. So we know, depending on oxygen levels. And the big thing with fall is when you have that fall turnover, the thermocline actually goes away when the water flip-flops. That can be some of the toughest fall conditions when you're fishing when it first turns over. And it throws oxygen and from the bottom to the top, and it throws the heat from the bottom to the top, and the fish just kind of get in a funk and just roam around a bunch, and they don't bite when it's like that. So, yeah, we're thinking there is not one right now. It means it already turned over, and you're gonna whack them.
All right, let's take a few more questions. Let's see, right there, brother.
What time you got to be back home? First slide.
They're leaving at 7 o'clock, it says their slot on this paper. 7 o'clock.
The question is, when would you throw a chatterbait over a spinnerbait and vice versa? And I think all of us like to throw a spinnerbait and chatterbait. So I'm just gonna kind of say just a few things, but I think we'll all say about the same thing. Anytime I'm fishing grass, it's definitely a chatterbait for sure. Like I don't even like throwing a spinnerbait in grass anymore. If I'm dog fishing, it's a chatterbait because I can skip that sucker way up under there. You obviously can't skip a spinnerbait. Where I like a spinnerbait better is open water, kind of what we have here on Norse. You know, when you're covering water, fishing around rock, anything like that. Definitely a spinnerbait would probably be my deal. I don't fish a chatterbait through open water that much, so I'll let these guys jump in and see their thoughts.
Yeah, definitely grass chatterbait, but the big thing on the spinnerbait is wood. I cannot stand throwing a chatterbait up shallow in wood because the blade rolls over and you make that perfect cast, and before it can bounce off that structure, it's digging into a stump or whatever. So I never throw a chatterbait around wood if I can get away from it. So that's, yeah.
And I'll add one more thing too, because I throw a chatterbait a lot, especially this time of year. Wind versus no wind. Windy, spinnerbait, no wind at all, chatterbait.
The question is, does Chad gel his hair or is it just natural? And honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, he has put so much stuff in his hair over the years that it's literally permanent. He don't have to ever gel his hair anymore, and it's gonna be just like this every day when he wakes out of bed.
This is all a lie. I do use clay though. You can't go wrong with clay, but you wake up and get a bedhead once in a while. It happens.
So for all you guys that you're thinking clay, Tennessee, orange or red clay. No, they have clay for hair, and I didn't know that until Chad and I roomed together. And he had a little bowl full of something, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" And he's like, "That's hair clay." And I was like, "Fair enough."
And it smells delicious, and I'm allergic to bees, and bees love it, so it's not a good thing.
All right, let's take two more questions. I think everybody has pretty much registered, so two more questions. Yes, sir, front and center. The question is, do I think the warm rain is going to cause the shad to come up more? And yeah, I think it's going to bring everything up a little shallower. I think you're going to be surprised at how shallow you'll catch fish tomorrow. Anytime you have a warm rain this time of year, and even when it's colder, if the water temp was in the low 50s and we had a warm rain, it would be really awesome. But the water temp's still in the upper 50s, so it's not going to warm it a whole lot. But I do think that this fresh rain will bring the fish up shallow for sure. One more question, and then we'll get this thing going.
Raise your hand up high.
The question is, what is our favorite time of year to fish? I'm gonna pass this off to Chad.
For me, and probably most people, it's an active pre-spawn. Right when those fish first get up, they're not quite committed to the bed yet, but they're just up shallow, they're eating, they're moving around. Just a fun time of year to fish anywhere, just because, like I said, they're active. You don't have to sit around and wait. And if you get on the right kind of stretch or the right piece of structure, there's fish constantly moving, so those fish are going to come to you, and you can hit targets, multiple times a day. And generally, you don't have to slow down. You can cover some water, have some fun, and keep a bait going.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I like fall too. This time of year is really, really good because everybody's hunting and not fishing, so I get a lot of the spots to myself on my lake. But I get to do more fun fishing this time of year because I'm not touring, not doing seminars, not running around the country. So I really like the fall as well. So, but anytime you get to go fishing is fun for me.
All right, so for all you guys that follow me on social media, Navionics has came on board this year as one of the presenting sponsors of this event, which is really awesome because as the event gets bigger, it takes more money to put on an event like this. So, I'm sponsored by Navionics. Mike Delavisco works with Navionics a lot in all his seminars and everything he does. He's sponsored by them. So he's going to do a little seminar about the Navionics app and basically anything and everything there is to know about Navionics. So he's going to go ahead and knock that out, and then after that we'll dive into the rules meeting. All right, here's Mike Delavisco. Douglas doesn't really have the alewives in it so much. Yeah, Mike lives on Douglas, and there's still an awesome shad population there. So the topwater bite on Douglas has, traditionally these last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, since the alewives have taken over Norris and Cherokee, the topwater bite has stayed steady and been pretty good on Douglas. So just keep that in mind tomorrow, but they still might be on the topwater bite. Don't count it out. Yes, sir.
I got a Lawrence question.
All right, we got a Lawrence question. Come on up.
I know that Lawrence is talking about discontinuing their carbon unit. They've come out with the HDS Live, and Garmin came out with the Panoptix Live Scope. You know what the release date or where it's going to be with the other end of that Live?
Yeah, right. Real short, people. I'll just. All right. Question on the HDS Live that Lawrence has got coming out, and
All right, guys, if y'all could just kind of be quiet just a little bit so they can hear the questions. Thank you.
so the question was on the HDS Live that's coming out from Lawrence here. Actually, the HDS Live units are out. They are available with 2 different transducer configurations right now, but the live sight transducer, that's going to be the one that you want to put on your trolling motor. That'll be out, from what I understand, end of the first quarter of 2019.
Okay.
That's when that's going to be released. I have not seen it yet. I have not used it yet, and I'm the guy.
I just seen I knew it said on the new unit it said coming
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
On the box.
Yeah, it'll be late spring, end of the first quarter of 2019. But you can they are shipping the live units right now with a 2-in-1, 3-in-1 transducer, which will get you your down scan, side scan, regular 2D sonar.
Okay.
If you want 3D, you still need to use the 3D module box
Right.
and that transducer for 3D.
Okay. So it'll be like the Panoptix Live, it'll be a separate transducer.
Yeah, for the live site, it's
For the live
going to be a
site.
separate transducer.
Okay.
My plan, when I do have mine on the boat, I'm going to run 2 transducers. I just had a conversation with somebody else about this. I'm going to run the live site transducer looking forward. I'm going to run an HDI transducer, 9-pin plugged into channel number 2, looking down.
Okay.
So I got down scan, 2D sonar, live site all in one unit, all in front of the boat.
You'll still be able to network those, won't you? To see it on the same screen up front?
Yeah.
Okay. And it will be wireless, right? Will it be wireless?
I'm not sure about wireless. I know the new Elite 2s are wireless.
Okay. Thank you.
I got a question for you, the $1 million question. How much is that transducer going to cost, that live transducer? I've heard some crazy numbers. I hope it's not the truth.
That's the next question.
I don't even know what the price tag of it yet is. I'll let you know as soon as I know. I'll let you know. 600?
No, 15.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the price is yet. I mean, we have the- it's all until they actually release it. It's all speculation.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What?